Hello, Liverpool fans. Welcome to the Liverpool Report, your go-to source for the latest news, match updates, and transfer stories straight from Anfield. Don't miss out on any of the action. Hit that subscribe button now and stay in the loop with all things Reds. Arneslot confirmed that Trent Alexander-Arnold was back in training, but refused to confirm if the right-back would return for Liverpool on Wednesday. The Reds make the short trip to take on Everton in the Merseyside derby and hope to have their local lad available after a short stint out injured. Alexander-Arnold is edging towards full fitness, but couldn't feature at the weekend. Slot and the Liverpool medical staff appear to be waiting until the last minute before deciding whether or not to include Alexander-Arnold. Joe Gomez is another injury concern for the Reds after he hobbled off during Sunday's FA Cup defeat at Plymouth Argyle. The versatile defender only lasted 10 minutes at home park, with the club still determining the extent of the injury, with Gomez suffering an issue on the same leg that has previously seen him sidelined. He said, "Trent has done parts of training sessions with us yesterday. Let's see how he is today. Joe, it's the same leg he had the injury last time. We are still assessing that." Liverpool had been scheduled to play Everton back in December, but Storm intervened to force a postponement. Wednesday's game will be the final derby played at Goodison Park as the Toffees prepared to move into their new state-of-the-art venue. Despite Everton's struggles in recent years, the Reds do not have a good record at the home of their neighbours. They lost this fixture 2-0 last term and have only enjoyed one win in their last 7 visits. Liverpool have also failed to score in 5 of their last 7 games at Goodison Park. Slot will also be seeking a response following Sunday's shock loss at the Championship strugglers. It ends Liverpool's quadruple hopes, and whilst that eases their fixture load, their manager insists he'd rather be playing regularly if it meant they were still in the hunt. He said, "A wise man once said to me, nothing good comes from losing a game. We would definitely prefer to have played more. Now, after losing this game, there is a moment where we have a normal week. But that is not what we wanted when we went to Plymouth. The plan was to play with Joe for 60 minutes. The plan was to start Curtis, but he didn't feel well enough to play. Darwin became a dad 1 or 2 days before the game. That happened in Spain, and he came in 1 or 2 days earlier. We wanted to play with a stronger team. The fact we didn't win shows these players need these games. It makes it disappointing we don't have these extra games for them." Arneslot admits Joe Gomez's injury didn't feel good for him after the Liverpool defender was forced off after just 10 minutes on Sunday. The 27-year-old was among the most experienced players on the pitch as Slot shuffled his pack for the FA Cup trip to Plymouth, a decision that ultimately backfired as they suffered a shock defeat. Gomez didn't last long before he had to come off with a debutant in Isaac Mabaya going on as his replacement. The Reds boss confessed he didn't yet have a full diagnosis on the injury, but it was quickly apparent that Gomez wasn't going to be able to continue, and he was going to be forced into a reshuffle. Slot's issues began early on Sunday, when Curtis Jones, who is coming back from an injury absence, admitted to his manager that he wasn't yet 100%. That meant the midfielder remained on the bench throughout, despite Liverpool lacking experience and also chasing the game at home park. The Reds boss said on Gomez's injury, "I am not too sure. I am not too sure if it was the same leg, but I haven't had time to ask him. It was clear. I think we all know which moment he felt a bit insecure about it because he didn't sprint back fully." Then he said, "I am not 100% sure, and I am afraid if I make one extra sprint things will go wrong. It's not torn, I assume, but it didn't feel good for him." That was a bit of a blow because Curtis Jones was on the bench, but he came to me this morning and said, "I don't think I am fully recovered yet," as well after the training session of yesterday. That all of a sudden led to the fact we were with a few more youngsters on the pitch than was the idea before the game, but still there was enough quality on the pitch to get a better result than this. Liverpool were not without quality on Sunday as Diogo Jota and Luis Diaz started in their front line. Darwin Núñez joined them off the bench, but they couldn't find the goal that would have forced extra time. Plymouth scored the decisive goal in the second half as Ryan Hardy converted from the spot. The Reds' hopes of landing the quadruple are not over, with their manager adding, "The result is obvious. It's a big disappointment, and the way we played there wasn't a lot to be happy about as well. The only thing I was happy about is that the boys kept on fighting for 100 minutes." Viktor Palsson has played in 10 different countries for 13 clubs and speaks 5 languages fluently. So, when Plymouth Argyle's Icelandic defender meets his former employers Liverpool in the FA Cup 4th round on Sunday, there will be nothing lost in translation, especially if the lingo is English, German, Danish, Swedish, or his native tongue. Palsson, 33, may not be a name on the lips of the COP masses because he left Anfield without making a first-team appearance. But he was good enough to captain Liverpool's reserves at 18, and he will always treasure the memory of being Steven Gerrard's skipper when the England legend, preoccupied with legal affairs, turned out for the stiffs to maintain match fitness. Palsson was not in the Iceland team who humiliated Roy Hodgson's England at Euro 2016, but he was an injured squad member sat in the stands when they caught Gareth Southgate's complacent strollers napping again at Wembley last June. He landed at Argyle after reuniting with Wayne Rooney, who had previously managed him at DC United in the States, in a globe-trotting career which has also taken him, in batting order, from Ireland to Denmark, England, Scotland, Holland, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Germany, and Belgium. With 47 international caps sprinkled across 11 years on his nomadic odyssey, Palsson is a walking billboard for the adage, "Have boots, will travel." But as he plots a booby trap for his old club in the Wild West country, he wishes he had made more of his time on Merseyside. 14 years after leaving Liverpool, Palsson's accent is still laced with broad traces of Scouse, and he said, "Looking back, I wouldn't say I have spent too much of my career running away because it runs much deeper than that. To explain fully who I am and where I came from would be a long conversation in itself, but did I make too many moves? Probably, yes. Would I have done things a bit differently if I had the chance again? Absolutely, yes. Do I regret it? Absolutely not. You can't put a price on the football experiences and life experiences I've had since I left Reykjavik as a 17-year-old to sign my first professional contract in Denmark. If Palsson missed the boat as an impressionable teenager at Liverpool, he would love to jog their memories at sold-out home park. He said, "Hand on heart, if I'd had the same mindset then that I have today, and maybe for the last 7 or 8 years, things probably would have turned out differently." Without going into too much detail, I found out it was very easy to get sucked into everything that comes with being a footballer. Being 17, coming from a small country like Iceland, and signing for a legendary club like Liverpool, one of the biggest in the world, I got drawn into things going on when I could have taken a different direction. Sometimes you don't realize what's in front of you. I was probably young, naive, and, yes, maybe a bit arrogant, thinking I had made it. It's a big world out there and I didn't have the experience or mental capacity to handle it. I was there under 3 different managers, Rafa Benitez, Roy Hodgson and Kenny Dalglish, and I arrived in that season where Liverpool topped the table for a long time, but lost out to Manchester United for the title. My best memory was playing in midfield with Steven Gerrard in a reserve game against Tranmere Rovers, and before the game I asked him if he wanted to take the armband, because he was the club captain and a legend. He said, "No, you're the captain of this team," but I was never going to tell him what to do. Liverpool fans are hoping Trent Alexander-Arnold follows Steven Gerrard's example by rejecting Real Madrid. The 26-year-old England international could leave Anfield on a free transfer this summer when his current Anfield deal expires. These links are bringing back memories of the time Los Blancos were keen on signing Gerrard when Jose Mourinho was the manager. Having failed to sign him at Chelsea and Inter Milan, Mourinho thought he could finally sway Gerrard to Real Madrid. To his immense disappointment, the Liverpool skipper rejected him for a 3rd time and remained at Anfield. While Alexander-Arnold's career trajectory is similar to that of the legendary Liverpool captain, the context of both players is different. Unlike the right-back, Gerrard had unfinished business at Anfield. In 2015, looking back on Mourinho's desire to bring him to the Spanish capital, Gerrard said, "I'd have signed for him 3 times if I was not a Liverpool fan, and Liverpool were not in my heart. He is the reason why my head was turned on a couple of occasions. But he understood why he could not do it. It's because I love Liverpool Football Club." When asked whether he had ever pondered on his decisions, Gerrard replied, "I did at the time wonder at what might have been. But for me, I said to myself when I sat down with my dad and my brother, that if I win a couple of trophies at Liverpool, then it would mean an awful lot more to me than if I win 10 at Chelsea or Inter Milan or Real Madrid. It always means more when you win for your people. Despite winning the Champions League, the Europa League, 2 FA Cups and 3 League Cups with Liverpool, the Premier League title was always out of Gerrard's reach. When Mourinho came calling, Gerrard still had a burning desire to win their first league title since 1990. Alexander-Arnold doesn't have the same emotional anchor keeping him at Liverpool. He has won every possible trophy and is also on track to win a second Premier League title, while arneslot's side also strong contenders to win the Champions League too after topping the new format with 7 victories in 8 matches. When quizzed on the Liverpool star's future earlier in January, Slot played it cool. However, he did reassure supporters that transfer gossip hadn't distracted Alexander-Arnold, whose admission of wanting to win the Ballon d'Or above all else suggests the Santiago Bernabeu could soon be his home. The Liverpool boss said if it would destabilise players at Liverpool if other people talk about them, then we would really have a problem, because if you play at one of the biggest clubs in the world, everybody is always for 12 months long talking about you, sometimes in relation to other clubs. That happens so many times for our players, so if that destabilizes them, then we really would have had a problem. Not only now, but in the last 6 months, because there were some talks about our players in the last 6 months and I don't think it destabilized them at all.